My parents plotted to trick me into paying for a family cruise. So, I turned the tables on them. I'm 24, and I never thought I'd end up being treated like my family's personal bank account. But there I was, watching my hard-earned money go straight into funding my brother's latest hobbies. Growing up, I always knew I was different from my brother Dylan. Not in any dramatic way. We had the same dark hair, the same slightly crooked smile inherited from our dad. But in our parents' eyes, the difference might as well have been written in neon lights across our foreheads: golden child and black sheep. Dylan, 3 years my senior, could do no wrong. When he crashed Dad's car at 16, boys will be boys. When he got kicked out of his first college for partying instead of studying, he's just finding himself. The second college? The professors didn't understand his learning style. The third? Well, you get the picture. Meanwhile, I was expected to be the responsible one, the fixer, the eternal support system. Siblings have to support each other, Mom would say, her tone leaving no room for argument. So I cleaned up Dylan's messes, covered for his lies, and watched as my achievements were brushed aside in favor of celebrating Dylan's latest almost success. By 22, I had landed a great job at a tech startup, while Dylan, at 25, was still figuring things out. This meant my parents were constantly sending him money for rent and necessities, which somehow always transformed into new gaming consoles and weekend trips with his friends. But hey, that was their choice, right? At least I was independent. It started innocently enough last year when my parents approached me with what seemed like a sensible suggestion. "Honey, why don't you move back home?" Mom asked over Sunday dinner, passing me the mashed potatoes with that hopeful look she'd perfected over the years. "You could save so much money on rent. Housing prices are crazy these days." Dad chimed in. "It makes financial sense. You're always talking about wanting to build your savings." He conveniently forgot to mention that most of my savings had gone toward paying off my student loans, something Dylan had never bothered to do with his. It seemed logical. The housing market was brutal, and my apartment ate up a significant chunk of my salary. Plus, maybe this was a chance to finally bridge that gap with my family. Young professional daughter returns home, proves her worth, gains parents' respect. It could have been a Hallmark movie. Instead, it turned into a horror show. The first red flag appeared when they asked me to pay reduced rent, still a considerable amount, but less than my apartment. Fair enough, I thought. The second flag was more like a banner when I realized Dylan had suddenly acquired a new PlayStation 5, designer clothes, and was talking about a weekend trip to Vegas. Right after I paid my first month's rent, it took me embarrassingly long to connect the dots, but when I did, my blood ran cold. One evening, I overheard my parents discussing finances in the kitchen while I was coming back from a late night at work. "We can send Dylan another $1,000 this month," Mom was saying. "Now that we have Sue's rent money." "It's our money now," Dad agreed. "We can use it however we want. Besides, she's doing well at her job. Dylan needs more support right now." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. All those years of being the responsible one. And they were using my hard-earned money to enable Dylan's perpetual adolescence? The realization hit me like a tidal wave. I wasn't living at home to save money. I was living at home to be their personal ATM. That night, I packed my bags while they slept. I left a note on the kitchen counter, found a better investment opportunity. "Don't worry about Dylan. I'm sure he'll figure it out eventually." My friend Jessica took me in until I found a new place, and I thought that was the end of it. But my family had other plans. 2 months later, Mom called with what she probably thought was a masterstroke of reconciliation. "A family cruise," she announced, her voice dripping with honey. "The perfect way to reconnect and heal. I know we treated you unfairly, sweetheart. Let us make it up to you. I should have known better. I really should have. But there's this thing about family. They know exactly which buttons to push, which heartstrings to pull." So when she said, "Family is still family, right?" I found myself agreeing to think about it. That's how I ended up back at their house one evening, intending to discuss the cruise details. But before I could ring the doorbell, I heard them through the open kitchen window, their voices carrying clearly in the evening air. "Once Sue agrees to book everything," my mom was saying, "we'll tell her to pay up front. We'll promise to reimburse her after the trip, but We won't, Dylan finished, laughing. She owes us anyway after moving out like that. Plus, she makes good money now. It's not like she can't afford it. Exactly, Dad agreed. And once we're on the ship, what's she going to do about it? It'll be a nice family vacation, and she'll get over it eventually. She always does. I stood there, keys dangling uselessly in my hand, as 3 decades of manipulation and gaslighting crystallized into perfect clarity. They weren't interested in reconciliation, they just saw me as an ATM with legs, a reliable source of funding for their golden child's endless needs. That's when I decided to give them exactly what they wanted, with a twist that would make any cruise director proud. The next morning, my phone rang right on schedule. "Honey, have you booked the cruise yet?" Mom asked, trying to sound casual but not quite hiding the eagerness in her voice. "We think it's easier if you pay first, and we'll send you the money right after." "Of course, Mom," I said sweetly. "I'll take care of everything, just leave it all to me." I bought myself one ticket for a luxury Caribbean cruise, the works, with a private balcony suite and premium drink package included. Then, using my graphic design skills from college, funny how they never bragged about that degree, I created 3 perfect replicas of my ticket. The only difference? The sailing times were off by 2 hours. The day of the cruise arrived sunny and perfect. I got to the harbor early, watching from behind my sunglasses as my family arrived, loaded down with luggage, only to find the ship had already departed. Their fake tickets showed a 11 a.m. departure. The real departure time? 9 a.m. I turned off my phone as the ship pulled away from the dock, but not before sending them one photo. Me, cocktail in hand, on my private balcony with the caption, "Sorry, can't come to the phone right now. Too busy enjoying the view." By the way, I decided to invest in myself this time. Hope you understand. After all, family helps family, right? The week that followed was blissful. I got a massage every day, made friends with a retired couple from Colorado who had their own stories of toxic family dynamics, and didn't think about my family once. Well, maybe once or twice with a satisfied smirk. Reality crashed back in when I returned to find them camped outside my apartment, faces twisted with rage. "How dare you!" Mom shrieked, her perfect mom mask slipping to reveal the fury beneath. Do you know how embarrassing that was? Standing there at the dock like idiots? "We're going to sue you for fraud," Dad threatened, his face red. "Those tickets were fake." "We can prove it," Dylan hung back, unusually quiet, perhaps realizing that for once, he wasn't the center of attention. I calmly pulled out my phone and played the recording I'd made of their kitchen conversation. Their faces went from red to white as their own voices exposed their scheme. "It was just a family prank," I said, mimicking Dylan's excuse from when he'd borrowed and crashed my first car. "If you want to take it to court, go ahead. I'm sure the judge would love to hear this recording. And I have years of bank statements showing how you've been handling money in this family. Shall we make it all public?" They left, but the drama wasn't over. Soon, family friends started calling, telling me how I'd changed, how I was selfish for tricking my poor family and going on vacation alone. That's when I decided to go nuclear. I posted the whole story online, including the recording. The support was overwhelming, and the criticism of my family's behavior was swift and harsh. It's been 6 months since then. I haven't spoken to any of them, and honestly, life is better this way. I've taken 3 more solo trips, started therapy to unpack years of family dynamics, and finally learned to put myself first. My savings account is healthier than ever, and I sleep better at night knowing I'm no longer funding the family bank of Dylan. Dylan still lives at home, still finding himself at 29. Mom and Dad are still enabling him, though I hear they've had to dip into their retirement funds now that their backup ATM has grown a spine. Sometimes mutual friends try to guilt me about it, saying things like, "But they're still your parents," or "Dylan really seems to be trying this time." I just smile and book another trip. Sometimes I feel a twinge of guilt, usually around holidays or when I see happy families out together. But then I remember all the years of manipulation, all the times I was expected to sacrifice while Dylan was coddled, and that guilt evaporates like morning mist. The cruise tickets cost me a month's salary, but the look on their faces when I played that recording? Priceless. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just serving cold justice. It's serving it with an umbrella drink and an ocean view. I've learned that family isn't just about blood, it's about respect, reciprocity, and healthy boundaries. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from people who treat you like an ATM rather than a person, even if those people share your DNA. These days, I'm focusing on building my own kind of family, one based on mutual respect and genuine care, rather than obligation and manipulation. And you know what? The view from here is pretty spectacular. Just last week, I booked another cruise. Solo, of course. Because sometimes the best investment you can make is in yourself.